Hello folks, I'm Colonel Failure and this is Cities Skylines. For the last few episodes we've been gradually building up our industrial area in order to provide some happy-go-lucky jobs for happy-go-lucky people. We've been building some pretty good stuff, even I say so myself. But it is getting a little on the dingy side. And, you know, I want to work on this bus station a little bit more, and I've got a few traffic issues that I'd like to resolve. That's largely because of interior roads that are not particularly well thought out, and that's okay. I mean, my intention is to gradually overhaul all of this stuff anyway to make it look better over time. For now, it's largely fulfilling a need, and that need is to help expand on Connery, which you can see over here. In fact, I need to expand the area here. Yeah, and I mean, Connery is our kind of primary residential and commercial area right now, and it's thriving. It's doing really quite a nice job. You know, it's built around this kind of diamond in the middle here, which we quite like, and then I've just expanded to fill the rest of the island. Well, it's not really an island. It is an island. I've expanded it to fill out in a way that suits. And, you know, we've prosperous neighbourhoods are kind of emerging. If we look at the land value here, no, not that button, you want this one. If we look at the land value, you can see that in the actual centre of it all, it's actually worth a few quid. You know, people might actually one day want to live here, probably due to the presence of this whacking great hospital. However, look at that for a bunch of people waiting for a bus. Anyway, today we are moving ahead in terms of providing something that we actually need as the city grows in order to tidy things up. Just a couple more bits that I've done since you were last here. I've built the one side of the rail line from our twin rail depot here. Complete with kind of neon glowing cranes. Yeah, I've built out one side of the train track to go further. As yet, it doesn't go anywhere because I haven't really thought through this next section. But it's going to go somewhere, so you know you can rest assured on that side of things. But today we're going to be building a prison, and we're going to be building a prison on this island. I guess this is another island, but half of it goes outside my territory. And as ever, we're going to need to do a little flattening before we can get this underway. However, I've got a flattening plan in mind. All being well, it will work flawlessly. Now, I mean, at the moment, I've got the best part of £2 million in the bank, and well, firstly, that's a good thing, because any kind of major overhauling of your landscape is a costly endeavour. So it's always worth making sure you've got plenty of, I mean, as you can see, I've burned through 200 grand, well, you know, in 10 seconds of speaking to you. Well, I've not thought this through. Okay, I'll wait till sunrise and we'll crack on. Okay, so the sun's coming up, which will mean we can actually see what we're doing, which is, let's face it, helpful. Yeah, it's the one thing that After Dark often throws me for a curve on the basis of the day-night cycle. So I want to build a little gully over here, just like that. I want to do it carefully. And the reason we want to do it carefully is because if I go too far, I'll end up building land in this little bit of river we've got going on. And we don't want to do that because it's going to look rubbish. So I want to take it as far as the edge. And make it look... So it's... Steady on there, chap. Steady on. There we go. That's it. Down then up to get everything on the same height. It tends to be the easiest way to do it. And then I always bring out the smoothing tool here, which is a little on the savage side, it has to be said. Just in order to take the edge off some of these lumpen bits that I've ended up with. When you dig down using a square, you do tend to leave a rather jagged mess afterwards. So yeah, these tools, not subtle at all. But you know, the end result, yuck. The end result, he says, looking at it with somewhat of a disgusted tone of voice. Yeah, it should look relatively normal. Yeah, I'm tempted to redo that. Actually, no, that's looking okay. So, I mean, the important bit is making sure that you've got enough of the flat stuff here. Can we just decrease the size of this bad boy a little? I guess not. One more try. No, not so much. No? Anything? No? Alright then, well, we'll stick with what we've got. Right, okay, so first things, I'm going to build the bridge out to the, I guess you'd call it the mainland. So we'll run up here. In fact, we want the wiggly road for this one. Just because this is, you know, just to set an idea of this has been built without particular aesthetic attention being paid. Somewhat over there would probably be good. Let's have a look what that looks like. I have seen better, if I'm honest. I've seen a lot better. This is, I believe the Highways Agency would refer to this as unsafe. So fortunately, with my newfangled bridge building tools, we can do that a little better. Don't get me wrong, I'm not using anything particularly sophisticated here. This is largely just the ability to get a little bit of fine angle for height adjustment purposes. Now we're going to swing across here and then up the other side. And all being well, that looks pretty good. So what I'm after here is a relatively consistent height getting all the way across, and then once we're over, we can level that back down to the ground. Okay, good. Right. So let's just, for the moment, I'm just going to connect this up in a fairly reckless, a fairly willy-nilly fashion. Where should we head? Can we head up the middle there? That'll do. Okay. Right. This is, as you can tell, this is entirely temporary. We'll build something a little bit more robust, and I guess that means that we're going to be building out in this direction, which I can live with. But yeah, that's just purely to make the connection. So I mean, as you've probably spotted in this series already, we're working the aesthetic as much as possible, but everything does still need to be functional. So, right, okay, right. We've got our island more or less in the kind of shape we want. And, you know, given that these are people who have decided to reject social niceties, we shall do something that reflects their position in society. Because obviously, in my town, no one is ever wrongly accused or convicted of anything. Those who are banged up have done so for good reason. There are no ridiculous laws. Everything is perfectly fair. Just in case anyone was wondering. Right, okay, so I've got enough room here. We want to get rid of trees for the simple reason of that allows your escaping convicts somewhere easy to hide. Yeah, can't have that. See, there's no fooling me. Then we'll smooth out this edge to be just slightly more organic looking. As much as it's obvious that this is going to be a human-built structure, we do want to make it look like Mother Nature's had a bit of a go. Okay, so very straightforward. We'll just build enough room there. We'll get ourselves. Actually, I need some. Need a bit of water. We'll take this direct from Costner. That should do the trick. Has that done the trick? Yes, that should do the trick. And then we'll build it up. So, fairly straightforward. Just plonk it on in there. It's going to want some power. Unfortunately, we're in an area where there's plenty of wind power to be had. Now, it doesn't need this much power, but I'm a believer in turbines looking better when you group them together. And you know what else is going to work here? What else is going to work here is a radio mast of some description. Because, you know, it's got good elevation. There you go. This is where your cellular company is most likely to apply their mast. And then, around the outside of here, we're going to build another couple of roads, just to finish it off. I see. No, you're not interested in playing ball first time. How terribly unhelpful. Drag that down to there, and then this across here, and then we can get rid of that bit. Right. Okay. Good. So here is, you know, his failures prison. Whatever we're going to call it. What are we going to call this? I think we will call this Lancaster Prison. Lancaster Prison. As ever, bonus points for those of you who get the reference. I think you understand that we've got something of a theme running so far, but, you know, by all means join in. This is an interactive service we're providing here. And then we'll run that straight up to the front gate. And then round the outside I want to put a little bit of parking. I'm not entirely inhumane. We are going to allow visitors. Of course, I do have to find where I left my car parks. There we go. I think we'll use these little tiddlers here. And if I see, are you going to rotate without a fight? The answer is no. And that's a little disappointing because it means we've got two identical car parks there. So the next job is to make them look a little different. And this is the thing, when you're sticking assets together, for those of you who stick assets together, the more of these props that you just leave lying around, the harder it is to actually use more than one of them without it being obvious that they're clones. But the good news is we've got a phone box, and that's, you know, that's not the only thing we've got. We'll stick in just a little extra set dressing here. In fact, can I zoom in any further? I don't want to block the front door of my phone box. That won't be a clever move. Actually, that's not going to look good enough. However, CCTV is always welcome, and you know, I'm protecting my nuclear power plant, so I'm definitely going to protect my prison in a similar fashion. obviously, a little bit of protection for potential getaway vehicles. And we'll put one directly over the phone box as well. Because you can't trust people who are making phone calls. And then, since we are in the mood to be dressing stuff, we'll give it its own water supply. Which I think is jolly decent of me, despite the fact that we're on the mains anyway. There's no harm in sticking a few more bits and pieces just to you know, organic things up a little. Make them look like people may possibly have put some thought into building this stuff. And then over here, what else have we got floating around here? I can build some more fence, I suppose. I'm not going to build a park. This is an entirely inappropriate area for park. But I think some low-level shrubs will just bring the area out a little. Well, obviously, we don't want to bum out the people who are coming to visit their nearest and dearest who have been incarcerated. A new mod that I added recently. You may or may not observe its presence as we rock on, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. And it's a random tool for tree placement. And what it does is it basically rotates the trees automatically every time you place one. The upshot being that you end up with a much greater distribution of tree rotation. Now, do we think that's... Actually, yes, I do think we've accomplished something there. I shall do the same the other side. The overall effect we're going for here is, you know, this is it's a municipal building. And therefore, you know, some pride will be taken in its maintenance. Room for another one in there? I have phone boxes in the way. What do we think? I think potentially that's awful. Alright, should we do a rethink on that? No, I'll do that while you're... will I do it now? Shall I do it now? What the heck, you're here anyway. Let's burn all of this. I'm not happy with any of it. Yeah. Get rid of it. Go on. Get a shot of it. And that. Yeah, and this. And that. And this. Yeah. Take the hint, friend. And then let's get rid of the rest of these little bushes. Let's do it in a baby symmetrical fashion, because that's going to make everybody a lot more cheerful. We are, after all, trying to build something that looks good. Mental note, build something that looks good, not something that looks hasty. Right, let's try that. See. Okay, so going back to what I was saying about excessive props, that looks like it might conceivably be the way that someone would lay this stuff out. And then we'll go around the outside. I did like the bush motif that we were working on there. So as you can see, every time I move my mouse, this little fella's twirling around. It's easier to see with a big one. It's randomly twirling the trees around to ensure that each new placement... Can I just drag and it'll do it? No, I guess not. So that each new placement is on a random facing. And the upshot is that you should end up with something that looks a little bit more... well, it's a little bit less placed by robot. Which, if you're just banging trees in willy-nilly, you end up with a somewhat robotic look. And then we'll do something similar the other side, which makes it look like we've got gardens. To be honest, actually, I think this will probably be a work detail of some fashion or another that earned the privilege to tend to the magnificent bushes outside of his failures prison. Lancaster prison. There we go. How's that looking? Well, it's looking a little more like I meant it. Let's put it that way. Let's squat in a couple more here. Nothing too exotic required. Okay, smashing. Right, and then we will stick back in our CCTV because I still care about what people get up to in the bushes. I think that's reasonably good facing. We'll get it as close in as we can. That's pretty good. And we'll give it a not a 360. That would be redundant. We'll give it a 180. We'll stick another one there. Okay, let's have a quick look. Oh, it's night time already. So, the other thing that I'm going to stick up here, because, frankly, they don't deserve fresh air. They've all been found guilty with a purpose. We'll stick a waste garbage recycle centre up here as well. It's a furnace. It's a furnace. It's not a recycle centre. What are you talking about? And then just to kind of round this out, I might be tempted to fence that in to prevent our miscreant friends. Oh God, I'm playing with fence again. Oh no! I'm sure if those of you who were around for the creation of any help on here at all? No, it only wants to build against the road, doesn't it? Yeah. Okay. We might forego the fence. See, I'd just like to fence that off over that way, but for some reason, snapping this to the road is mandatory. We'll smack some of that in there, and then we'll it's a bit more CCTV for you, my friends. Despite the fact that's the back side of the prison, you never know where cunning criminals who have not yet fulfilled their debt to society may decide they want to make a break for it. Right, let's give me the corner piece here. Right, now, if I'm very, very lucky, and historically I haven't been, I'll be able to get this in. Now, I don't know what facing this has at the moment. It's the wrong one. Obviously. Let's try it again. Right, we need to rotate this by 180 degrees before we carry on. Just like that. And then let's try and square this here. If we're lucky. That looks close. That looks very close. That looks like we might actually have got that close enough the first time for me to be satisfied. And we'll stick a few more of our bushes around here just to break up some of this broken up land. Of course, this is going to be full of pollution in no time flat, so just dot a couple more around here. I think I might look for a couple more props to chuck into this area just to finish it off. However, maybe just a few more. These ones not quite as well kept by the work gang. Anyway, that'll do it. For the moment, let's see this as a work with more progress to be done. I mean, I could easily, well, no, I could, with difficulty, I could fence in the whole of this. In fact, let's have a quick pop and see what sort of resistance it's going to put up. And you see that corner's in the wrong place. How about that one? That corner is also in the wrong place. So putting fence there would be a little on the redundant side. But this, I mean, this is a fundamental to what do we got? No criminals in prison yet. Well, maybe I ought to hire a judiciary or something. But the idea is that you see the you're riding your prison bus. In fact, let's ride this prison sports car. We're riding the prison sports car up to the prison. He's going to the car park, just going to visit some friends. Maybe it's a warden or a prison guard. They're rather well paid if that's the case. And you're intimidated by it. The greenery gives you hope that this is not the last thing you'll ever see. But in effect, it's the last thing you'll ever see. Anyway, thanks very much for watching today. I've been Colonel Failure. Yes, not a massive amount of progress, but we do some progress when you're not here, and then we try and do something interesting when you are. I'm gradually building towards an airport. Hello there. Are we short on sewerage? I believe we can increase the budget there. There you go. What are we at? 100%. We can push to 110, and nobody's going to. No one's going to throw me out of office for that, I'm sure. Come on, chaps. You should have sewerage. You shouldn't be. Go on. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So, yes, this whole area here is going to be industrial at some point, but obviously it's not going to be in the mood to expand until I've got some more residential going on. We do have quite a lot of demand for goods right now, which is interesting. Clearly I need better flow of trucks coming from my stations over there. Anyway, I shall investigate while you're away, and we'll put things into action next time. I've been Colonel Failure. This has been Cities Skylines. Why not hit the like button to encourage me onwards to do a little more? And if you're feeling so inclined, why not subscribe so you never miss another episode? Thanks very much for watching. I'll catch up with you next time. Cheerio.
Listen.